DraftKings.
Hey guys, coming up on the Big Blue State of Mind, it's Gambling Friday, and me and the boys discuss the newly released schedule, how we think the G-Men will fare this season, and John and I test our handicapping skills, guessing Week 1 NFL spreads. All that and more, starting now. All right, welcome everybody. It is Gambling Friday on the Big Blue State of Mind podcast. The schedule is out, and like everybody else out there, what was the first thing that you guys did? I immediately looked at the schedule, figured, it's a 17-game season. It's probably going to take 10-7 to get to the playoffs, and I started circling wins and losses. That's how big a loser that pretty much everybody is when it comes to such an insignificant day in the season. But one we all look forward to, and that, once again, the NFL is pumped up to bait us all in for one of the most unclimatic,
And it allowed us to get back in this room and talk some Giants football. So
yeah,
that's always a good thing.
And it brings out the gambling spirit because we've been texting all week about just all the different bets that we might be making and stuff like that. We got something pretty cool in the works as far as what our weekly pick'em's going to entail. And we're going to get into that too.
I'll tell you, the first thing I looked at was when we played Philadelphia this year.
Philadelphia, yeah. I think everybody was thinking that, and we were hoping that we were going to play him first.
When they released Week 1, it must have spilled out at some, but we did Week 1 earlier in the day, and then I'm looking and it's like CBS is announcing the Thursday night. Oh, Week 2 we play the Redskins on Thursday Night Football. Well, so I knew Week 1 and 2 before even the release.
Yeah, I love how the leaks were just coming out throughout the day. It's
the NFL likes to give you little crumbs along the day to keep you interested.
I don't know what was worse, that or Adam Schefter and the whole Aaron Rodgers thing like the week before. We'll get into that as well. But let's start off with our usual what are we drinking thing. John, what are you drinking today?
So I have a Hatchet. It's a IPA from our friends locally over at Fiden's.
Fiden's very nice.
Best IPAs in the area, probably best stouts in the area. Was over there early Saturday morning. They were nice enough to donate some beer to a golf outing. We were raising money for Leukemia Lymphoma Society, blood cancer research, and they made a nice donation. So I figured, hey, while I'm here, they're making the donation, I'll pick up some beer for myself.
You end up spending $100,
$130 later.
Beer. Yeah, very nice.
Win-win for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I hope you brought some to share. That's good stuff. Eric, what are you drinking?
I am drinking another beer from Beer Tree. So if anybody's down near Binghamton, please hit up their beer factory down there. I hear it's amazing down in Johnson City. This one in particular is called Hugh Heffy.
Hugh Heffy.
It's a Hefeweizen, and it's pretty tasty.
Why haven't somebody come out with that before? That's genius.
I can't believe they haven't.
Yeah.
But here it is, and it's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jokes we could make right now, but let's not get canceled on the first month.
What do you have over there, Kevin?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'm getting lucky. In our little practice meeting, when we test out the equipment, I found 4 Giants over at Uptown Beverage from Founders, which is 4 IPAs combined or whatever, and it was real good. I figured it was appropriate for the podcast. This week, I found New York Stout of Mind.
That's amazing.
A collaboration stout from Brooklyn that they make at the Culinary Institute. Common Roots and Resurgence, which I'm not familiar with. Have you heard of Resurgence?
I'm not. I love Common Roots, though.
Yeah. Common Roots is phenomenal. He does a great job up there. That's a big fan. I'm a big fan of those guys. And
just a shout out to Uptown Beverage. I've been there before the podcast. I've been over there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just kind of going through, and their selection is really, really becoming a lot better over there.
I would say. I'm more of a Glenville Beverage guy overall because they do an awesome job over there. As well as the Brew Crew. There's a lot of good Bev
County
centers right
Bev.
here. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they've definitely improved their game over here. So for one, that's 5 minutes down the street from all of us.
And they deliver.
I can walk there.
Do they really?
They deliver now?
And I have.
Yeah, if I get beer delivered to the house, the wife might just call it quits on me at that point. So especially when it's 5 minutes away from the house. So, all right, so moving on. We got our beers in hand. We're ready to go. 17-game schedule, first time in history. Right now, there's only one official time for everybody on the preseason. Now, you guys are looking and seeing 3 games.
Three on the schedule, but as you're saying, I only see one game, the Patriots game, that actually has a start time. The other 2, I don't know unless John found something different over there. I'm only seeing one time for a game.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. I looked at it, I said, wow, that's going to be interesting. I think it benefits the Giants to have 2 or 3 because I think our linemen are the ones that need the reps. Most of the other positions can do with less work. It's always the linemen, the hog mollies that really got to get in and gel together and get some work in, especially with a young line like we have.
And less preseason games gives those guys down on the bottom of the roster less chance to actually stand out. And it's not even to make the Giants, but those preseason games are watched by other teams, and that's when they catch on. And so for their purposes, I would hope there's at least two games.
Right.
Yeah, so it is looking like it's going to be Jets at Giants preseason week 1. That'll be the week of August 12th to 16th. Then week 2, Giants are at Cleveland, and then Giants host New England week 3.
Okay.
Ooh, an Odell matchup in the preseason. I don't think he'll be probably playing.
Yeah,
that game,
he'll play 3 snaps if anything, right? So yeah, that's not too big of a deal. But 17-game season. I'm very interested to see how this all works out. I'm not thrilled with the way they came up with the 17th game. I think it's pretty boring. I understand why they come up with the schedule the way they do. As far as the out-of-conference games where you pair up against, the 2 seed of another conference and they try to make it as fair as possible. But for this extra game, they gave the AFC, everybody an extra home game this year, which makes it fair because you're not giving anybody in that conference with a playoff implication an extra home game, which would be a serious advantage. But the way they do it again too, I really wish they would kind of stop benefiting teams that perform poorly. I mean, you're already giving them the highest draft pick in the league. Why give them another easier game if they're a poor performing team or a better chance? These weak schedules, it's just making it. I think it's making the competition, and it's making it harder on the good teams too. I mean, it's great for ratings and all that other stuff, but I almost think that you do the opposite. I think you take that worst team and said, okay, you finished worst. Now you're going to have to play the best team out of that other division, and you reverse it a little bit.
Well, being that it's the first year, I think, they are alternating who gets, AFC, NFC with the home game. It could be that, the next CBA, it's going to be rebargained again at the next CBA. Who knows? After the next CBA, maybe it goes back to 16 games because they found out injuries, and even though they're potentially paying players more, maybe it is back to 16, maybe it goes to 18, and then we don't have to worry about.
Well, is that the next step? Is it an 18th game?
If it's the NFL's choice, I think
when the networks see how much more money they're getting out of that 17th game, it's probably the only direction they'll go after this.
Yeah, I mean, is it another chance for Goodell to try to globalize the game and basically make all those games out of country games, and whether it's Canada, Mexico, Europe, something like that. I don't think it's gone over well in England. Nobody cares over there. I mean, we've been sending kind of our worst product over there. There hasn't been many.
Didn't they have to cancel the game in Mexico City last year because of the pollution or something?
Well, they've had to do it because of field conditions in the past. I know that. And really, it's all going to come down to when that first big injury happens in week, what is now 18. And people are, if it is someone that was going to be in the playoffs and it's a big injury, that'll directly be the focus. Is if we only played 16 games and there was only 17, would this have happened? Probably not. If they can avoid that, I think the NFL, their ultimate goal is 18. They kind of split the difference on this one. But I think their hope would be 18. I don't know what the players are thinking about that.
Yeah, I think they can't go any higher than 17. But I have a solution to make it fair. Okay.
For who? Fair for who?
This is for all the teams involved. It's going to be higher ratings. It's going to bring a little bit more excitement to all of these games. Okay? Neutral sites for all of the games.
All of what games?
All of those 17th week games.
The extra game.
Not the 17th week. It could be any week when you plan them, but those 17th opponents you have at neutral sites. So, for instance, you have, and it's out of market, so you're going to bring 2 other teams, and this is where it really comes into effect, where you want to put a good team versus a bad team or a better matchup. You don't necessarily, you want to have a good team, somehow a good team involved in the matchup, okay? So we're going to put the Giants versus Miami. We'll just keep that one there where it is, all right? They're going to play that at Michigan Stadium, okay? We're going to go and we're going to play the San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs at Yankee Stadium. Think about all that stuff. You're going to bring people out of market. I guess you try to get it close to the cities that are involved, or NFL cities, but pick a college stadium nearby. Pick something, get some excitement, and bring it to those stadiums. Fenway Park. Come see the, two teams like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking of something outside the box that makes it fair. So it's you sell the tickets, half to each team. They have all the season ticket holders have a chance to go travel, and then you open it up to whoever wants to buy the tickets. You know what I mean? But you have a chance to go see two out-of-market teams. You can't tell me that. I don't care who it is. You put a decent team. Again, if you can't put two terrible teams, it's not going to sell unless they just travel.
Just send those to London.
Right. Well, that's the whole point. But the point being, if you put a good team versus a bad team. Now, what if you staggered it? So, okay, you Jets or Jaguars, you got the first pick. All right, guess what? You're playing Tampa Bay in this 17th game, and we're going to put it in a neutral site. Everybody's going to go see Tom Brady and that Super Bowl team. Because, if you put the two terrible teams, nobody's going to go travel and see him, and you're going to have problems anyway. But everybody's going to go see Tom Brady. Everybody would go see Kansas City versus the Jets. We probably have to put a different division in it, but the next, team up, whatever. They'd go to a neutral site, go at the University of Texas Stadium. That'd be awesome to go to a major college stadium or a baseball stadium that could house a football game and watch one of these games. What do you guys think?
You got anything on that, John?
John doesn't
because I have an idea also, so okay. I want to see if John had any ideas on it.
I mean, I'm sure there's a multitude of reasons why it hasn't really been considered yet. Collective bargaining, the accommodations that they need in the stadium and the facilities, and it's one thing to have a locker room for a baseball team, but for a football team, do they have?
They all can carry. You can't tell me that they can't carry something like that. They do football games.
Well, Yankee Stadium hosts the Pinstripe Bowl. There's definitely ways they have, but I don't know how many.
I mean, combination. Michigan holds 100,000 people. You can't tell me they couldn't.
But you go from Giant Stadium or even Gillette to Fenway. It's like half the number of tickets you can sell. Yeah, can you sell them for double the price? And probably just a whole lot of things to figure out. I mean, it would be cool. I don't know if you do it for 17 games maybe every year, like kind of like in the NHL where they do the Winter Classic and you pick a few games.
That's what I'm thinking, right? It's something like that with the excitement because we all watch the Winter Classic. It's probably, even if you're not a hockey fan, it's on and you're like, oh, that's cool. They're playing outside.
And we make a few teams go across the pond every year anyway. What's the difference if you have like a cool event inside the country in a stadium?
What if we made them play in an ice hockey rink?
This might be an idea you guys are like, no way. But I think this works for the NFL. I think this works for fans. And this is kind of, what if it was, as you're saying, you're always trying to, bottom teams are kind of getting more.
They're getting more, right.
What if we
wouldn't take away the benefit to
What if they did a scheduled draft for the 17th game where the winner of the Super Bowl gets to pick their opponent for the 17th game?
That would be interesting.
The runner-up gets to pick their opponent. And then the team that gets picked, they have that edge because they were the team that was picked. And you could put this on TV and you could put the team on the clock. And so the top half gets to pick who they want to play from the bottom half for that 17th game.
That's something.
I would have to stew on that for a little while. It's a lot to
digest.
But
the NFL can market that. You roll out the schedule on the 11th or 12th, and then for that 17th game, you hold it to that Thursday or Friday night, and you kind of hold it. You kind of hold a draft. So Kansas City would get to pick who they would want to play the 17th game this year.
All right, now what if in that game they're not allowed to call regular plays? They have a deck of Uno cards, okay? They have a deck of Uno cards.
They can only run Tecmo Bowl plays.
Right. If and it goes, that's it. They can, if it's +1, they can add a player to the lineup, okay? They can only, there's a little armband that they have. So if it's blue 7, they can only call that blue 7 play, the whole thing.
If you draw a +4, you're done.
If it's a skip, hold on. If it's a skip, you lose it down. I mean, I'm telling you right, there's potential right here with this whole Uno potential. I think I'm going to start my own league. We're going to put it on Spike TV.
We could probably play that, actually, on some of these video games.
Yeah.
We could do that.
It's going to be on Spike TV, and it's going to come right after Slam Ball and before Bar Rescue. I think that's my
Is there even a before Bar Rescue? I think Bar Rescue's on before Bar Rescue.
I don't. Is Spike TV even around anymore?
It's Paramount, maybe.
Yeah.
Did you know Slam Ball is still a thing?
Oh, Slam Ball is popular,
but it's not on TV anymore. Right?
No, but it's like it's global now. Like the guy was on it on Pardon My Take, and he was talking about it, and there's and it's funny because in our country it's like football and basketball, but in like China it's all about like the aerials because they're all like gymnasts and stuff like that. So gymnastics and basketball are the two things.
Well, they're also shorter, so that helps playing.
You want to
dunk ball?
Yao Ming. I mean, come on, let's not get stereotypical here, okay? We don't want to get canceled.
You called them all
right?
gymnasts.
I didn't say gymnasts. I said they were into. They're two sports
Aerial.
they're most into. They're aerial, right? So they start doing some crazy stuff in the air, and so that I was listening to it. I was like, I can't believe it was still on. I remember that on Spike TV when it first came out, and it was fun to watch. But they were taking this like I didn't realize how big a thing, and they're trying to get like other countries and a professional league going on, stuff like that. So
speaking gambling, I think I just put in it was an exacta on. It was a pickleball game and slam ball recently.
Okay, well,
it was down at the casino.
Find out who was it. Whether you bet on me in pickleball because you cannot beat me in pickleball. I don't know if I've told you about it, but I am the pickleball champ in this neighborhood.
Well, if you go pro, are we gonna have to kick you off this podcast?
Listen, just like Aaron Rodgers, I can have potentially many careers. Okay, Jeopardy, pickleball, whatever. Okay, all right. So back to reality, and let's go through the schedule because we all circle the wins and losses. So John, walk us through it, and we're gonna I don't know, pick a score. We're not gonna. Me and Eric are gonna try to predict the lines later because that's one of my favorite things to do.
I think you and I are gonna do that.
Yeah.
Oh, you and I. Okay,
yeah.
So me and John are gonna predict the lines or guess the lines. But let's just go through and see where we. I think 10 wins. Do we agree that 10 wins is got to be where you pretty much have to be to get to the playoffs?
Yeah.
Well, last year we would have gotten in with 7. So.
Right. Well, I'm expecting everybody to be better.
Are you saying 10 is where we need to get in,
I
or
think-
10
I
after
think-
looking at it, you think that's where we can
I
get
think
to?
10 will get you in. I think that 10's the goal, and I think our goal right now is to get to the playoffs. It's so funny. I love those websites that we plugged last week, and like Big Blue Wrecking Crew and Big Blue United. Some of the funny stuff I've seen. So, guys going through that schedule, circling them. 14-3, I see the Giants. It's like, wow, that's a stretch. You know what I mean?
And let's not forget,
We're the realistic podcast.
Yeah.
we're
well,
talking 10
kinda.
and 7. Last year it would have been 10 and 6, 4 games over 500.
Right.
We're talking about 3 games.
Well,
over
9 and
500.
7 was like, okay, you can inch your way in. 10 and 7 right now, I think is you have a good shot of you're probably going to be close
if
to
you're
your
not winning your
and-
division,
right.
you're probably in
So
a wild
outside of the
card.
division last year, where obviously we could have gotten in with the losing record, do you know what the last wild card spot was? It was the Bears, right? And they came in at close to 8-8 or 9-7, right?
It was definitely not 8 and 8. It was definitely a winning record.
Yeah, it was a winning record.
yeah.
But they didn't get to 10 last year. I don't think. They probably
No, I
were
believe they were 9 and 7, but don't quote me on that. All right, so let's go. Week 1, who do we got?
So week 1, Denver. I guess that's going to have a lot to do with who shows up to play quarterback, right?
Yeah, the Aaron Rodgers story. Is he going to be? I mean, we're going to find out June 2nd. June 2nd is the day when Green Bay can cut the salary cap hit, I think, by half, like $15 million or something.
They can roll it over 2 years instead of just the one. Yep.
Right. So it's really going to help them. So there will not be any action taken there until June 2nd unless the whole thing just blows up, which I don't think will happen between now and then. He's been very quiet about this. He's been very vocal about the fact that he wants his Jeopardy job, but he won't say anything about his real job, which is kind of odd. And you hear more stuff from Adam Schefter, and I don't like the way that whole thing went down. I think it was an attention grab for him on that day. He came on Dan Patrick and said that, no, I didn't hear anything. It was no new news. We've been hearing it all year, blah, blah, blah. But he decided to go and blow up that news. And in an era where Jay Glazer's breaking stories and it's all about the first guy to the water cooler, I think he was trying to make something bigger than it was.
But I don't see Aaron Rodgers. I don't see Rodgers' team coming out and calling Schefter out for that. So it kind of gives me a little.
No, but
he
came out and said that he didn't say it. I mean, everybody's trying to be quiet because they don't want to say anything and make
it wasn't
worse,
just Schefter. There were other individuals that had other information. So the team for Rodgers, somewhere in the team, was giving information out. When they dispensed it, who knows who said to do what when. Like you're saying, they're not saying much at this point.
Well, his number one receiver, Devontae Smith, came out and pretty much defended him and said,
Devontae Adams.
It's fine, Devontae Adams. I'm sorry.
We've done a lot of
Sorry,
talk
we've been
about
talking about
Devontae.
Devontae Smith a lot. I apologize.
Nightmares.
But I think when he came out and said, yeah, he's like, my future will definitely be affected if he's not with us. Like, he basically had his quarterback. He's like, listen, this guy's great. He knows what he's got. This guy's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns to him. I don't see that. I don't think it's a problem with him. It's an organizational thing, and I don't know. Would you want him as a quarterback for the Giants?
Going back to when it came out, I do believe somewhere in there that was a Rodgers FU for the draft night of last year when he got blindsided. I think there was something to it as far as his team coming out.
It sounds like it was
doing
presented
that.
like that, but then Schefter came out and said, no, it wasn't that. So who do you believe? I mean, is he lying to Dan Patrick? I mean, it was a very strange interview. It was kind of awkward. I don't know if you heard it at all. But it made me almost sour on Schefter. I'm like, all right, the guy that breaks news all the time, but I'm like, that seemed almost like.
But then it was
tabloid.
Mark Schlereth who actually put out the tweet that said it's a done deal to go
Yeah.
to Denver before the draft. So I mean, and he's inside. If anybody's Mr. Denver, he's inside Denver. Like
he might also be at this point regretting it because Aaron Rodgers took a lot of the flack with why would you come out with something like this? Aaron Rodgers is trying to spoil the draft day for the Packers this year.
Yeah,
It's like
Rodgers
Aaron
got the
Rodgers
heat,
isn't the one that broke the news.
Right.
So Schefter might be doing a little backpedaling, like maybe I should have waited
So-
another day.
So are we saying that Rodgers is going to be a Bronco?
Do
or
we
not?
think? So based on all the information, it was Denver was the lead team.
Yeah.
Do we think that's where Rodgers wanted to go? Or
It was
is
on
that
his list.
Right. And is Green Bay willing to deal him? If he's going to play hardball, are they going to deal him where he wants to go?
Well, they don't want to deal him in the
NFC.
Right.
NFC. And we don't want him dealt in the NFC. So,
Yeah, I don't mind him going to the AFC at all.
I mean, I'm sure Elway would love him. It worked out well with Manning. You
Two-
know what I mean?
Two in Miami coming back. I mean, Miami's got a ready to win team other than the unknown of Tua.
Well,
If they could get a Rodgers for 2 to 3 years.
See, you're 100% sacrificing your future because you're getting a quarterback that you might have for 4 years, maybe. You're paying him top dollar, which is then tough to build a team around. So you almost have to bring him into a team where you have young talent at the other skill positions where you'd have to be spending money. But then on top of that, you're probably giving away at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 first-round draft picks. So you're totally sacrificing your future to try to win now. And I don't think it could be a team like Miami because I don't think they're ready to go. I think it's got to be.
But Miami's got so many draft assets in their chest still,
That's a good point.
and they have Tua. I mean, they could give up upwards of 3 number ones in the next 2 years and still have their own the year after. So where other teams are giving up 3 years in a row of number one and that's all they have, Miami their GM has done a great job of. They have a good team right now, and he's got a lot of moves left in there that he can pull.
what about the Raiders?
Was that on Rodgers' list?
I don't know if I that's a team I thought that I heard as well that was that he would go to or was on the list of.
I don't know how close how close Vegas is to winning. I even if they exchanged Carr for Rodgers and that was their
They're
quarterback
real close to.
for a playoff
I mean,
spot,
they're
but-
one win away from a playoff last year.
And I really liked their
Definitely
team, but
an improving team. I don't think that they're
But let's
a
talk.
threat
Right
now, but
we were talking about Denver because of the schedule. Let's
Yeah.
talk about Denver. If you're talking weapons,
they've got a young.
if you
talent.
want toys for
Yeah.
a quarterback, their receivers. Oh man,
I mean, they're young and they've got some talent there. They don't have a quarterback, and
that's how they can bring on the money because those receivers are all second, third year at the most. They're not going to have to pay those guys for another 3 years.
they also got hit by COVID worse than any team in the history.
In injuries. They were playing Jeff Driscoll.
They didn't
at
have
quarterback.
all
they
their
played.
quarterbacks.
They
got-
played Hinton at
all their
quarterback
quarterbacks
the
got-
one game. Yes,
they all got
yes.
COVID.
Yeah,
That was insane.
yeah. And they still. I mean, even with that, they still play tough against a lot of teams.
All right, I'm going to say, well, let's assume that. Okay, I guess there is no 100%, but let's just assume that it's the Denver Broncos.
Let's
right?
go with we
Teddy-
can only go on what they have now,
Right.
right?
Teddy
What they have
Bridgewater
now.
under center.
Teddy Bridgewater. I think the Giants win. They win handily. I think they win by 10 points.
I like the fact that Denver's coming cross country. Even though it's a 4:25, usually that was 1:00 cross country or a little tougher on teams. I'll go Giants on that one. But I don't know if Bridgewater's the starting quarterback. I'm a Drew Lock
Right.
guy.
I
I think
like
he needs
it.
to stay healthy.
I like it at home. I don't think they're much of a threat right now. Yeah, I have to give them 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a pretty rough podcast if we were predicting Broncos in week 1, right?
Yeah, right.
Honestly, the Giants come out of the preseason healthy, and they got a stacked offense. The defense returns, adding a few pieces. They actually have a little bit of a preseason and training camp this year to develop some of the younger guys. I like Giants. I don't know about handily, but 5, 6, 7 points.
One area that you've had a concern since we started the podcast is their offensive line. And one thing that Denver does do well, if Bradley Chubb is healthy, is they do rush the quarterback, and they do have edge rushers. So if that O line doesn't gel in the preseason and get together,
It could be a
Daniel
long day.
Jones could have be for a long day. And I do enjoy the fact that the NFL did put this as the Giants game because it is the 20th anniversary weekend of 9/11, and they were playing Denver that night. the night before 9/11. So it kind of brings it full circle 20 years later. And if you're looking at, I mean, can you believe it's 20 years?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Trey Lance is 1 year old when that happened.
Wow.
And now he could be a starting quarterback this year in week 1 for the Niners. But I like how the NFL kind of played on a little, bring that full circle 20 years later, because it's going to be a big weekend in New York for sure.
All right, let's try to get through this schedule quickly. We'll do so we don't spend 3 hours on this. What's next?
All right, next week 2 we got Thursday night against the Redskins.
Thursday. That's week 2.
DC,
Short week.
Thursday night, week 2 in DC.
Wow. Okay, that's going to be tough. I think
Did I say the Redskins? I meant the football team.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, the Redskins.
I think you said Washington, but I don't know.
All right, that's going to be tough. We handled the Redskins pretty well last year. I think they have a lot to prove. I think they've got a lot of talent, especially defensively. Just add another really good, linebacker. They're going to be very tough. It's going to be very tough on our line. I'm not convinced on their offense. I don't think they have a lot of offensive weapons, especially receivers.
They did sign Curtis Samuel to go with Terry McLaurin, though. Or Terry McLaurin. I think that was a good pickup. And Fitzmagic is in the building.
Fitzmagic is in the building.
One of these years he's going to suck, right?
Well, no, it's one of these games. You just got to pick which one it's going to happen in.
Well, I mean, the good thing, I think defensive backs, I think our pass rush, defense normally prevails early on, again, because the offense doesn't have their shit together completely. I think our defense is going to be pretty dominant this year, and I'm not convinced, aside from Scherf on their line, Washington's line, they're going to have to come together too. So I think we're going to sack the quarterback a lot with Fitzmagic. They're going to get their stuff that I don't love their running game. And I think we squeak one out. That's a 2-point win for me.
I'm going to go Fitzmagic at home. I think on a short week, it's travel week. If we were playing at home in that game, I think I would go Giants. But
okay,
it's a close game, like you said. But I think Washington plays it out.
We swept them last year, right? Wasn't that 2 of our 6 wins? Predicting they're going to do better than last year, so that starts with winning your first division game. I'm going to go Giants.
Sure. All right, what's next?
All right, September 26th at home against the high-powered, prolific offense of the Falcons.
Great offense, no defense, though, right? So that's one that I think our defensive backs will have their first test against some real good receivers. Matty Ice, you have to put Matty Ice on his back. So that's going to be a tough game as well. I think we have a good shot at going 3-0 here. That'll be another close one. Again, I think Giants by a field goal.
And that's one of those games where the linebacker play is going to come in because Atlanta has now 2 tight ends that are very, very good. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the linebackers. So we'll see what they have. I like the Giants at home, though. If it was in the Dome again, maybe different. I like the Giants at home.
Okay.
Ooh, dare I go 3-0? I'm going to go 3-0. We're going to go Giants week 3. They got to contain that offense, but I think they can.
Yeah, I agree.
And contain that offense, but it's going to be on. This is one of those games where Daniel Jones might have to keep up. Maybe
containing that offense means you're probably holding them to at least
20,
mid-20s
something. Right, yeah. And so is it going to be on Daniel Jones and the Giants to keep up? And if he can, that's a solid for him.
We got to score 30 points.
Yeah.
All right, week 4. This is the first year without Drew Brees at center for the Saints. We're in New Orleans in the Superdome, October 3rd.
This is the first one I'm going to give a loss to. We don't, for some reason, I don't have one good memory of playing against New Orleans. I feel like they've, mostly because of Drew Brees, but I
was going to say, those are all your memories.
Yeah, I mean,
Jameis Winston might throw 5 interceptions.
Right. They've thrown well against us. I think we're going to come out of, I don't think that we might lose that game, but between Atlanta and that, I think one of those, I'd like to come out of those 3-1 out of those first 4 games. So I'm going to go with a loss for that one for New Orleans, but it could be vice versa.
Huge fan of famous Jameis here. I think he's been, I know what the turnovers were in Tampa. I was very surprised that last year he didn't get something other than the $1 million backup contract. The Saints were in salary cap hell, and they have been for a little while, so they weren't able to make a lot of moves in the offseason. So I think what you saw last year, now you're changing Breeze out for one of the quarterbacks, Taysom Hill or Winston. And I know it's tough playing in the Dome. I'm gonna go New Orleans. I'm gonna go New Orleans.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take the Giants again.
Oh boy, we were the realistic podcast. Remember,
yeah,
we can't go undefeated.
I'm 4-0 here. I think they're gonna take a major step back this year. It is weird to say in the 4 games odds are they'll probably lose one of the 4, but I don't know which one to pick, so I'm just going to say a win for all of them. But I thought that if they weren't in salary cap hell, as you were saying, that could have been a nice landing spot for Aaron Rodgers, but there's no way they can pay his contract. So unless they've dropped like a Michael Thomas, they're not going to have salary cap space.
And then he wouldn't want to go there anyway if they had to do something like that. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Week 5, my birthday. My
birthday
Johnny's
weekend.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Got the boys in the house on your birthday.
Well, I'd have to go to Dallas to see it. But yes, against this is our second NFC East matchup at Dallas. Always a tough place to play in Jerry World. I'll start this one. I'm going to go with, I hate to say it, on my birthday in Dallas, but Dak back, Zeke healthy. I'm going to go with that's going to be the first loss of the year.
Okay, I'm going. I think we beat them. I think Daniel Jones signs his name underneath Eli's in the Cowboys locker room, and I think it's going to be a line issue. They didn't address. The Cowboys had their first 5 picks, all defensive. They drafted a linebacker the first round with a defense that wants to run the nickel 60 to 70% of the time, now that I'm reading up on the Cowboys. So, again, I think it was a terrible first-round pick because they're not really a heavy linebacker defense. I think our line is going to have an easier time against them than some other, really good defensive teams. I think their offensive line is suspect. I think we're going to really get it together and shut down Dak, shut down Zeke, and I think we're going to roll that game. So I'm going to say 5-1 after that game.
So, John, is that your birthday day or your birthday weekend?
My birthday day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how's that going to work?
4-1.
How's that going to work at home with Erica, her being a Cowboy fan, you being a Giant fan on your birthday? How's she going to treat you that day?
And looking at the time, even if I work, I should be able to catch most of the game because I get home around 5 o'clock on Sunday. So that might be one that would be kind of cool to watch part of it while we're podcasting.
Yeah,
actually.
so
Okay.
so we'll just you won't see her.
Yeah, exactly. Unless
So
you-
celebrate
yeah,
Saturday for
yeah,
your birthday,
right.
and then we'll watch the game on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good. As far as the game goes, until Dak proves to me that he's healthy, I don't know how the Cowboys are going to do at any point in the early part of the season. So I'm going to go Giants.
All right.
All right. So week 6, we're home against the Rams.
So now we got Matty Ice with the Rams. I'm going to go Rams.
No, Matt Stafford.
Sorry, Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford, I think he's going to bring some life to that team. I'm going to go Rams by 6.
Do you know that he is tied for the 4th best odds to win MVP this year?
Is he?
That's crazy.
Ahead of Lamar, ahead of a bunch of people. It's Josh Allen. Well,
Should
it
be
goes
interesting.
Mahomes,
Rodgers,
and then Josh Allen, and then Stafford's tied 4th with someone. But yeah, tied for 4th. So I don't know if that is, Vegas kind of saying that they think they're going to air it out more because he trusts Stafford more than he did Goff, or he just thinks they're going to win and he's going to throw for a lot more yards. As far as this game goes, I'll take the Giants with the Rams traveling cross country. They did lose Josh Reynolds as one of their receivers, and I think the Giants can cover them with their defensive backs. So I'll go Giants.
Yeah, if it was in LA, I'd say possibly different, but I'm going to go the Giants there too.
All right.
All right, so rolling right along. Week 7, back-to-back home games. Week 7, we're hosting Carolina, and Mr. Darnold returning to the Meadowlands.
I see the Giants rolling here. I'm not threatened at all by Carolina. I think they can improve. Darnold can improve, but it's not going to be this year. They're going to be a tough year for them.
I do like some of the things Carolina's done in the offseason, and I think Darnold's an upgrade. Whatever you want to say over Bridgewater, I don't think he's being as much of a game manager. I think he can do more. The one thing if we're talking about how well the Giants have been, based on John's record and some of ours, the week after that is a Chiefs game, and it could be one of those trap games where if the Giants do have a good record and the media is already just skipping over this game and getting in the heads about how you're going to play the Chiefs next week, this is one of those games where you get nervous, like it should be a win, but are they going to win it? So I'll go Giants with the caveat that if they have a good record, I'm a little nervous that they're looking at the Chiefs and not the Panthers that week.
Yeah, and I'm leaning Giants here. If Christian McCaffrey returns to form, he's going to be a nightmare. The Giants don't really have very many cover linebackers, and he's going to just be a menace out of the backfield. Probably a nice weapon for Darnold that he didn't really have in New York. I'll go Giants, but I think that's going to be a tricky one. Week 8, This is the one Monday Night Football. It's in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. I'll start this one. I'll state the obvious. That's a tough one.
Let's not waste much time.
You're going to pick a loss.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a good showing, but I don't expect to win that.
Is this a moral victory game more than anything? And you know what, though? Stars are made on Monday night. Is this Daniel Jones' time to step out of the shadows and really perform on a big stage?
What we saw was, again, the pass rush of the Bucs and the defense is what beat that team. I would love to see the Giants put a good defensive performance up against that and see what they can do. And just, hey, this is what we have to beat to if we get to the Super Bowl. And let's put our best foot forward and kind of like what we did with the Patriots that year before we beat them that first year in that week 16 or 17.
You got that moral victory that
Yeah, exactly. You got that moral victory, and we knew that we could compete with them. So I would love to put but I think there's too many weapons on that team. We're not there yet, but I'm hoping that we're on the upswing.
Now let me ask you this.
Yep.
I know these lines are obviously not even out yet, but in your estimation, as of today, what's a line in that game?
We're going to get to the lines in a little bit.
No, but they won't have this
week
out.
Week
We're only
eight,
doing week
that
later.
that line. Oh, that's right. With that line, I would say 11.
9 to 10. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I was thinking
pushing double digit.
Yeah.
Pushing somewhere in the double digit.
As of right now, it would be plus 10.
It's one of those games where you know that even if the defense plays well, you're looking at 21 to 24 points. It's one of those games, again, kind of like we were talking about Atlanta. Can the Giants put up enough points?
Yeah.
You're
going to have to score.
They gave him the weapons. Is he going to be able to put up enough points?
Mm-hmm.
We all agree no.
Okay.
But
So moving on, week 9. This is the week before our bye week.
By the way, I'm 5-3 at the halfway point. Where are you guys? Have you been keeping track?
I was not keeping track.
Okay. Well, I got 5 wins, 3 losses, which is
I'm actually 6-2.
6-2. Okay.
I think I had the most losses.
Eric's 1-7 right now. Right. Okay.
Hopefully the Giants are better than that.
Exactly.
All right. So I would say that we're halfway through the season at this point, but we're actually not. We got to get through halftime of week 9. So week 9, we're hosting the Raiders. I'm not going to start with this one.
All right. I don't know what to make of Gruden and this team. He's got like a 50-year contract or something like that, so they're expecting him to do great things there. I haven't seen it yet. They almost made the playoffs. They've shown moments of brilliance where they look like they're a really good team. They can compete. They're in a very tough division with the Chargers in the upswing and the Chiefs obviously just being just. I think did they beat the Chiefs last year?
Yes,
they did.
Yeah,
they did win the game.
That
right?
was the Chiefs first.
That was their big win last year.
Then they had some rough. Didn't they lose to the Jets? They had some rough.
Yeah,
losses
no,
last
right
year,
when that was the playoff contention game where
Yeah.
that game cost them pretty much the playoffs. Yeah,
they didn't have. When I was looking at draft rankings and stuff like that, and I didn't see them.
Oh, people hated their draft.
People didn't like their draft.
Leatherwood,
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think that was a great pick, and there was a lot of stuff that didn't really. They don't scare me right now, so I'm going to say the Giants win a close one right there. Coming off a loss with Kansas City, they win a close one against the Chiefs.
Well, they lost.
They
lost two. They lost two big on that team, big receivers. I mean, it's Aguilar and Tyrell Williams, but they did pick up Kenyon Drake, I believe, which is an interesting signing when you have with Jacobs already there in the backfield. So maybe they're looking to go more run heavy, reduce maybe the turnovers that Carr has. Hit Waller even more. I don't know how you can hit Waller more.
Carr gets a lot of flack, but when you look at his stats, I would trade him for a lot of quarterbacks in the league. Like, he's putting up some numbers.
People who actually get inside of football have over the last couple of years have had him like as a top 5 statistical. If you look deep in statistics, like a top 5 statistical.
He's a top half quarterback. He's not one of these bottom guys. I mean, he's always talked about trading and upgrading and all this other stuff, but he's got potential, and he's definitely.
You know what factors into that sometimes is that he's not a great fantasy football player, and I think a lot of people in general perception, if you're not watching the games and he doesn't put up numbers per se for fantasy football, then he's not a good player when it's not reality.
Guilty as charged. All right.
So yeah, I'm actually going to take the Raiders in this one. I think it's going to be one of those games coming off a rough week 8 against Kansas City, where we had a hot start to start the season, and then we kind of cool off going into our bye week.
I'm gonna go Giants, even though it is a short week at home.
Okay.
All right. So then we're off week 10. Back in action, which is interesting. Right out of our bye week, we get our second Monday night game of the year.
Thank you, NFL, for the bye week in between.
Yeah,
I appreciate
nice.
that.
And then we get to head down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Completely screwed us with these 2 games in a row. But the nice week off, so we can really think about both losses. I I just, I think they're going to, again, hopefully the pass rush is getting better. I think Brady and Tampa Bay is going to be just very difficult this year. I think he's got a lot more weapons. You saw what he did with just Randy Moss once he got going with that team that first year. I mean, he was dominant. Now you've got 3 guys, and I'm including Antonio Brown. When Antonio Brown's your third receiver,
What are the odds Antonio Brown makes it to week 11?
I believe he will. I think Tom Brady, whatever magic potion stuff that Tom Brady has, he sprinkled the dust on Antonio Brown.
He did.
And I honestly think that Brady was pissed at the Patriots when they cut Brown, when it turned out that he could have played that season without being suspended, and they got nervous and pulled the trigger too quick.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay is going to be really, really tough. A 15-2, 16-1.
You're talking about a team that had no salary cap and re-signed all their
They
players
signed
and brought
everybody.
back all the players.
Right.
Everyone's
I don't
willing
know.
to take a
And-
discount to win another Super Bowl.
and
And they loaded up for
Yes.
this. I think this is the year they loaded up for one more big run before they know that something, that you have to have an end to it at some point. They're loaded up, and I go Tampa this game.
They
for
might
sure.
win a couple. They might lose a couple games this year, but they are the
This
one
is not
seed.
one of them.
Yeah, this is not one of them, and it's going to be rough. So
Let's get a moral- hey,
definitely the L right there.
Another one of those moral victory games, though, because
Yeah,
if,
again,
if and
right.
when the Giants make the playoffs, they will maybe see
Right.
Tampa in the
and
playoffs.
You're going against 2 teams like that in a row. We should come out if we come out of that healthy. We come out, we're rested after a bye week. We should, you play those 2 teams. Anybody else you play moving forward should be a little bit easier. So, who do we got next?
Okay, so then we kind of get a little back into the NFC East. We're going to play the Eagles for the first time,
We
which
win
is odd.
72-0.
Week 12 is before we see the Eagles for the
That's
first
good.
time.
And the NFL did, when I said they did us a favor with the bye week before the Tampa game, they didn't do us a favor on this with a short week against Philadelphia.
I also think they didn't do us any favors waiting until week 12 to let Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith gel, so we don't see them until week 12. That's a whole lot of games. So you're getting Devontae Smith almost, more than halfway through his rookie season.
You're right. They might put up some points that game. It could be 72-3. There's no chance that Philadelphia wins either of those games. Win.
I'm going to go Giants. And one of my things that I talked to Kevin about before the podcast was the Eagles play 4 games in 17 days from around Thanksgiving time. And this is one of those games. They play on a Monday, a Sunday, and on a Thursday. And I think Thanksgiving falls somewhere in that realm. So I think Philadelphia could be kind of hurting and or just kind of sluggish for that game. And being at home, I think if we're at 100% capacity for games, the Giant fans are going to be all about that game.
Yeah, and I think they will be, and I'm in for the Giants. All right. Week 13, headed down to Miami. Tua.
It's nice to get out of New York in December and go down to Miami, Maybe we should do a travel
weather.
cast down there for that game.
I think we roll there, too. I think it's a closer game. Miami's on the up and up. But, again, we're coming off those 2 tough games. We're going to come off a huge 72-point win over Philadelphia. Win.
I'm going to go Miami in that game. And
Miami.
Everything's based on Tua. But everything that Miami has wanted to get, for somehow they've gotten it. It's just like this GM has really done a great job of putting together this team. And I think Miami will be rolling at that point, and it's at home, so I'll go Miami.
Here we go back-to-back weeks against those 2 Alabama receivers. I'm taking the Giants, though, in Miami. I'll save our next loss for week 14, headed to Los Angeles.
That's a tough travel.
Yeah, Chargers, cross country. That's where I'm going to pick our next loss right there.
After being in Miami, and then you're traveling cross country. That's a tough 2-weeker right there.
Now the nice thing is it's another game in a nice warm climate for a December 12th game.
Yeah.
But
Good team. Looking ahead to Dallas, too. I'm going with the Chargers in that game.
okay, so week 15 we're getting to host Dallas. It's December 19th. It's the week before Christmas. I'm gonna take the Giants there. I did pick Dallas in Dallas. I'm gonna pick the Giants at home.
We split a lot of times. Every time we beat Dallas in Dallas, it seems like we lose at home. I'm going to go with Dallas. I hate to say it, but
I'm going to go Giants again against Cowboys. I'm going to go for the 2-game sweep this year.
All right, then week 16 we actually get to go into Philadelphia where they hate Santa Claus. Day after Christmas. I'm
96-4.
taking Giants. Giants.
Oh, you're taking the Giants?
Yes,
in that
sir.
one. I gave the Giants the first game against Philly just based on how the schedule fell. I think by this time, well, it all depends. Maybe Philly has fallen out of playoff contention. Maybe they're doing things with their team. I'm going to change. I'm going to stick with the Giants.
Okay, then we're week 17. This is an interesting one that I did want to talk about when I saw the schedule. So we're in Chicago. Depending on who they have at quarterback at the time, even if they go with the kid Fields, he's almost into his second year by this point. He's got a ton of games of experience. He's not exactly a rookie quarterback by week 17. But the interesting thing is we're trying to get the best pick we can out of Chicago for the next draft.
So
we want to bury them,
right,
and we want a top 10 pick. So it'll be a huge game for the Giants, whether or not they're even in playoff contention. I'm picking a win in Chicago.
If you look at or listen to experts, I think they have both the Giants and the Bears in playoff contention to some degree. This really could be a winner take a playoff spot game.
Yeah, it could be a wild card.
And just as you were talking about your birthday, just a shout out to my brother Tommy. His birthday is January 3rd, and he's a Bears fan. So we'll be watching that game together.
Yeah. I don't think the Bears can be very good this year. I think they're going to be a bottom half team. I don't think they're going to be a
5-12.
We can only hope. I mean,
6-11.
Yeah, I mean, coming off a dominating win, I mean, it's so hard. It's so tiring.
To beat up on the Eagles
scoring
like
all
that,
these touchdowns. So we might only win by like 10 points against the Bears.
All right, and then in week 18, which used to be week 1 of the playoffs, this year it's week 18 of the regular season, hosting the Redskins in the season finale, most likely some playoff implications at this point. Again, home against Washington in potentially a big spot. I'm pretty sure I just picked us to go 12-5, which is probably not going to happen, but I'm going Washington.
So 12-5. Oh wait, so 12-5, including a loss to Washington, right here.
Yes, that adds up to.
So what do you have?
Right, yeah.
So do you think? I would assume you think 12-5 wins the division.
Yeah.
So you just crown them the division champions.
I wanted.
If you want to crown
I think
them,
I wanted.
if you want to crown them.
I wanted to land around 10, maybe 11. Somehow I ended up with 12. Maybe they spring.
And we were making fun of those other podcasts where they had them at 13 wins.
All right, I'm going with the win as well. I'm going 11-6. I'll get to another point in a second, Eric. What do you got?
I'm gonna go Giants. At this point, I don't know if it's Magic lasts the whole season. At that point, they're playing Heineken or Heineke, whatever.
Heineken.
Yeah. ODU's finest.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like Washington's team, but depending on how much Fitzmagic plays, I don't know if they can keep up. So I'm going to go Giants, and I'm not sure. I'll have to listen back to the podcast to get my record, but I'm somewhere in that 10 range as well.
See, I was thinking 10-7, 11-6. I think they can get to that. The only Vegas odds that I did look at today or heard about, and I made sure I avoided everything else for hand of my kids. Okay.
Week 1 spreads you did not look at.
Did not look at the week 1 spreads. Okay, but I did hear the over/unders for wins. So they had the Cowboys at 9.5.
I have them right here.
I heard Washington at 8 and the Giants at 7. Now, here are my predictions. I didn't even look at the Eagles. I think Eagles are probably like 5 or 6. I think the Eagles are probably the
Eagles have the least amount, and they're actually like the 5th. If you're betting in Vegas for worst record, they're like the 5th option for worst record.
Right. I have the easiest schedule, though. That's the only reason why they're at that point.
But and we talked about it earlier, that easiest schedule is based off of teams' records from last year.
Right.
If you really want to do a comparison, you look at the over-under totals for this year, and that's not the case.
Right. I agree. My prediction is this. I think that both Dallas and Washington are the first team, because you say you can't finish 500. 8-1. They tie each other, okay? And the Giants roll with the division at 10-6 or 11 or 10-7 or 11-6, okay? They're going to tie each other, and they're going to finish 8-1, both of those teams. Okay. There it is. It's on the record.
That's the thing I don't like about the 17th game. It makes it so
they're not going to tie in the 17th.
Bro, 16. Yeah. It was like you could be 8-8, 4 games through the year. You're a quarter of the way through the year. It's just so it makes 17 is such a not sexy round number. 16 was perfect.
And this is not cowboy hating, but I think 9.5 is, even with the 17 game schedule,
that's very high,
and not knowing what their defense is going to look like completely, and a Dak coming off an injury, I think 9.5 is pretty high. And again, these numbers on the over-unders are going to change once you get mini camps, once you get preseason, and see what people are actually looking like. So that could go down, and I actually might want to go to the casino and put some money on that under now.
I love the Giants at 7. If it's 7 games, over 7, I'll take that all day.
Because that just means that they don't have double-digit. At 7 wins, they have double-digit losses. Do you see the schedule having double-digit losses?
No, absolutely not. I mean, play.
I would take over 7.
100%.
Well, I better. I just picked them to win 12.
Yeah, exactly. So
it might be the fight.
So you're going and putting a lot of money down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so let's play the Week 1 game on predicting the lines. Okay. So whoever, we're going to go back and forth. Me and John. Eric's going to host this section of it.
Yeah, write down the score here.
He's going to write down the score. We're going to go back and forth, and who picks first. You can't pick the same exact number. Whoever is closest to it gets the point.
So picking the spreads for the Week 1
I have the
games.
Spreads from DraftKings, just so I don't know if that makes a difference in that. Shout out to DraftKings. But, so I pulled the Week 1 lines, and what I'll do is you guys guess. I'll tell you who won that game, and we'll keep score. So the first game is obviously that first Thursday night, Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay going up against the Dallas Cowboys. And obviously I don't have to give much background on either of these teams. So, Kevin, why don't you start with what you think the first one is?
All right. So
where is this? This is in Tampa.
This is in Tampa. This is when they're going to put the banner. They're going to put the banner up. Yeah. Jerry Jones is going to cringe because another team's putting up the banner when he's there, but it's not his team. So.
All right, so the lines are never completely out of whack. Dak is back.
Maybe.
I'm going to say Tampa Bay by 5.5 points.
What do you got, John?
Okay, so the first thing that came to my mind was Tampa Bay -5, but I'm going to go Tampa Bay -6.5.
I like how he played places right there. I think if he went first, it was probably going to be 5, and then you were going to guess different. John hits it right on head. It's 6.5 right now.
6.5. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 1 for 1.
Right.
Nice job on the money too. Yeah. Nice
so
job.
We're going to start with John on this next one. The next game on the schedule that I have is the Los Angeles Chargers against the Washington football team. So just a couple of things.
Where is it?
It's going to be in Washington. It's a 1:00 game that Sunday. Washington did pick up Curtis Samuel to go with Terry McLaurin this year. And you got Justin Herbert as a second-year quarterback now. They drafted Slater, who was on all of our lists.
I really like the
They
Chargers.
are traveling cross-country at 1:00, so what do you got for the spread?
I like the Chargers. I think it's going to be a much closer spread because it's them coming across country for a 1:00 Eastern game. I'm going to go Chargers -1.
I'm going to go Chargers -2.5.
Oh, you guys are going to make me do math now. No, John got it. It's 1.5.
Oh, my gosh. You look nice. John cheats.
Come on now.
I call Kevin the cheater. I don't know about this.
I'll tell you. Holy cow.
We have the third game is the 49ers traveling to Detroit. As we know, Detroit now has Goff at quarterback. They lost Galladay, obviously, to the Giants. Their main receivers now are Brashard Perriman and Tyrell Williams. Take that what you want. We do not know who will be starting for the Niners, if it'll be Garoppolo or Trey Lance.
You said it's in Detroit, right?
It's in Detroit. So, Kevin, why don't you go first on this one?
Let's see. 49ers at Detroit. I'm going to go with the 49ers -2.5.
I'm going to go 49ers -4.5.
You guys are both way off, but John wins. It's -7.5
Woo!
Niners.
Wow, that's a big line.
And Detroit has the second worst odds to have the worst record. And I think I think they're a hot mess. And if it wasn't for Houston, they'd be the number 1 team. So John takes a third one there. John's going to start this one up, and this is an epic battle. I'm glad you got this one. This is the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to the Houston Texans.
Oh, my God.
So this is the game of the week right here.
I'll take the
And
under.
just remember, Jacksonville's only win last year was in week 1, and then they went 0-15 after that. Houston, we're not sure who will be at quarterback, depending. Most likely will not be Watson. It will probably be Tyrod Taylor, and they did draft Mills. Honestly,
boy, this is tough.
Jacksonville did kind of load up on the offensive side.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
I'm gonna go. I think there's a lot of excitement around Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, and I think Vegas takes that into account a little bit. I'm going to go Jacksonville -1.5.
I'm going to say Jacksonville -2.
It's tough. It's tough, Kevin, when you can guess and you can never beat John because he got it right on the nose.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if he's Kreskin or he really cheated.
No,
This is some horseshit right here.
Swear to God.
It's like the Giants' first 4 games, according to John. He wins them all.
See if I can go 12-5.
The next one's actually a very should be a competitive game. The Seahawks traveling to the Colts. We know that Russell Wilson had a little discord with the team earlier this year. Obviously, they weren't going to trade him. Indianapolis is starting, most likely Carson Wentz at this point. And, they're solid across the board on offense. So I think we're up to Kevin going first this time.
That home field advantage gives 3 points normally. I would normally say that Seattle would have a slight advantage. But because of the home advantage, I'm going to go Indianapolis -1.5.
I'm going to go with the pick'em.
Pick'em. Kevin's on the board.
Hey.
It's actually Indy -2.5.
Okay.
You when you said the thing about 3 and you weren't sure, I thought you were going down to 2.5 because you were right on there. But Kevin got that one.
All
so
right.
we'll go to John next. The Sam Darnold game. It's the Jets traveling to Carolina. Obviously, we know the Jets will be most likely starting Zach Wilson. Panthers starting Darnold. McCaffrey should be back.
Yep.
How healthy, we're not sure. So what do you got, John?
I'm going to go Carolina -5.5.
Go Carolina -6.
John will take another one. It's 4.5.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
4.5.
You should have gone
I
with
just can't.
You played Prices Right the wrong way
guess
down.
right.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Another a game that the Giants fans will be interested in for multiple reasons. Philadelphia traveling to Atlanta because we do play Atlanta second week, I think. So that'll be something we're going to be watching. But also, I think we have to root for Atlanta against Philly in that first game. So
absolutely. Is it Kevin?
What do you got, Kevin?
Atlanta -6.5.
That's because you hate Philadelphia. I don't think it's going to be that
-72.5.
Philadelphia. I'm going to say Atlanta -3.
Atlanta is -3.5. So
Son of a bitch.
John will take another one. So, Kevin, I don't know if you've looked at it. Did you look at Philadelphia's schedule?
Well, I obviously haven't looked at anything because I'm getting my ass kicked.
I was just wondering if you have them going 0-17.
I do. No,
we should go put some money on that.
They might. They're going to beat Dallas once.
Sorry, they do have a tough start to the season at Atlanta.
Yeah.
Home versus San Francisco, at Dallas, and then home versus Kansas City.
And then they have those 4 games in 17 days, which doesn't happen every year. There's only one.
And then they go to Carolina, which is not terribly difficult, but then they host Tampa Bay. So that's a tough friggin'
Well, if you look at
start.
the last set, I think 5 of the last 7 are on the road as well. So the NFL did them no favors. And you say they had the easiest schedule, but it's based on multiple factors. So I think we're on John going first this time.
Yep.
We have Arizona traveling to Tennessee, which is an interesting matchup. I mean,
that'll be a good game.
Both teams come in with expectations. Tennessee did lose a couple receivers. Corey Davis went to the Jets, right?
J.J. Watt is going to be on Arizona,
which is, but one thing to say is this is the 3rd year of Kingsbury and Murray combo. Ooh. If they don't win this year, I think people start talking. One, I think Kingsbury's in big trouble if they don't win this year, and the next question is going to be: Is he big enough? I mean, he's been on that 8-7-9, 8-8, and he gets hurt, and so I think it's a big year. I think this is a huge year for Arizona's team.
This will be a good game. If it was in Arizona, I might actually pick Arizona to have the higher, have the favorite line here. But I'm actually going to take Tennessee -2.
I'm going to say Tennessee -2.5.
Ding, ding, ding. Kevin, right on the money. It's a win.
Price is Right worked out for me.
Don't call it a comeback. Okay. Could be an interesting game. Minnesota traveling to Cincinnati. I'm a big Joe Burrow fan, but I'm not sure coming off the ACL if he's going to be back in week 1 or if they're going to ease him in because that happened kind of middle season last year. So he might not be back. The Vikings offense, Kirk Cousins is under a lot of pressure. They got the skilled positions, and they drafted Kellen Mond, who I think could be the next Dak if Cousins gets hurt like Romo did. So Kevin, what do you got?
I'm going big on Minnesota here. Minnesota 7.5.
Sorry, this was in Minnesota or in
This
Cincinnati?
is Minnesota traveling to Cincinnati.
Okay. I like that spread if it was in Minnesota, but I think it's going to be a little bit less. I'm going to say -5.5 Minnesota.
They're giving Cincinnati a bunch of credit here. It's actually 3.5, so John gets it, but
Wow.
they're actually giving. I'm guessing that's based on them saying Burrow's playing because if he's not,
definitely.
that's
Right.
100%.
You're right. It's
That's
gonna
like a
be,
9
it's going to
point,
be
10
a
point
lot
spread,
higher.
yeah.
So again, we're doing these week 1 lines now.
Yeah.
Come August, these could be totally different.
We should keep these and see what they actually end up at.
These lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, I think you go first this time. This is a decent game. Pittsburgh traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo has obviously high expectations. The Mafia will be in full force at that game. It'll be warm weather. They'll be jumping on the tables if New York gets back to that 100% capacity.
That's a good game.
That is a good
The
game.
Steelers line still in question, but they did draft Najee Harris, who they think is an upgrade at running back.
I think at a neutral field, this might be close to a pick 'em, but because it's in Buffalo, I'm going to say Buffalo -1.5.
Oh, I'm going to say Buffalo -2.5.
Kevin's going to take it, but I think I don't know if Vegas is undervaluing it. 6.5.
Whoa!
Yeah, I was going to say
If you-
higher. I just kind of
if you
played.
because you wanted to
Yeah.
play, yeah.
But I was
right.
honestly going to say probably like
They're
3 or
that-
4.5.
Well, if you look
Yeah.
at the over/under totals, they have Buffalo up at like 12
That
or
down,
11.5
yeah.
or something.
They're either that high on
they're high on
Buffalo or-
Buffalo, and
yeah.
I don't think teams are. I don't think Vegas
Right.
is very high on.
No, I'll give Kevin, what is that, 2 for you? 3?
That's 3.
Okay.
Don't,
I got 4.
Telling
I
you,
got 4 there somewhere.
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
looking at
Whatever.
3.
All right.
All right. Wow, there are some really good games this first week. Miami traveling to New England. And there's all kinds of things that could be here. Is it going to be Mac Jones? Is it going to be Cam? How does Tua gel with his new receiving? Miami picked up Will Fuller as well as Waddle. I mean, they are just loaded at Devontae Parker. If they had a running game, they have no real running game to speak of. But if they had a running game, woof.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
New England -3 because at home, Miami coming to New England, Belichick. You don't care about who's playing or whatever. It's that opening weekend of the Patriots. You don't know what to expect. You almost have to put it as a pick 'em, and you give 3 points to the home team. New England -3.
Yeah, okay. So this is in New England. Miami, I think, is going to have a decent season. They got a really good defense. If it's
I do
Cam,
too.
he had a rough year last year. You're probably pretty close. I'm going to say -2. New England.
New England -2 is the answer.
Oh,
Ding,
you got to be
ding,
shitting
ding.
me.
I agree with both of your perspectives on that. I really think that's gonna be.
You know what's crazy
I think
is
that's
that
really gonna be a
we're-
good game.
We're very close on all this stuff.
Right.
That's a very.
I think that's gonna be a really. There's some
Interesting.
games that
See, we're gonna do this
watching
every week.
Yeah.
By the way,
We got to
like,
tag Vegas in this, and maybe they'll hire us to
Yeah,
be
right.
line makers.
because we're not
They'll
bad.
be they'll be
We're not
scared of
far
us
off,
thinking
right.
we're putting money on that. Yeah.
Well,
all
here's
right.
the thing: I can pick the lines and what it's supposed to be, but I can't pick who's going to be on either side of them. There's a difference.
Right.
Right.
True. So this game is actually one we're doing the Giants podcast. This is actually one that involves our team. Broncos traveling to the Giants. I think we've talked enough about this game, so if we can just
Do I start
John
this
go.
one?
Yep. John, you're up.
Man. I like the Giants in this game. I feel like Denver should be favored if it was on a neutral field. I'm gonna call it a pick 'em.
I don't think that Vegas likes the Giants the way we like the
I
Giants.
agree.
Well, you could tell by their over/under is 7.
Again,
I mean,
the 3-point rule should come to into effect, but with our young line and everything like that, and
And just as a caveat, this is not with Rodgers on the team. This is just a team as is.
yeah, I know. I'm gonna actually say the Giants will be like 1-point dogs.
So Denver -1.
Yeah.
Kevin takes it. It's Denver -1.5.
Ah, very
Really?
nice.
Yep.
Wow.
Which
Huh.
that shows you how much they value Denver. And I don't know if they already factored in maybe a Rodgers thing, but I mean, going cross country.
When you're making lines, you could have literally said, all right, 10% chance Denver has Rodgers, so we're going to bump it half a point or a
I'll be
point.
honest with you. I would love to run down to the casino and place a bet on that right now because
On
I
which
think,
side of it?
Yeah,
Giants
on the
side?
Giants. Yeah,
You could do money
I love
line
that.
and then not have to
I
give any
absolutely love
juice.
that.
Yep.
Watch, I guarantee that line moves.
I hate betting on the Giants, though,
I
because then if they
guarantee that
lose,
line.
you're pissed
But if
off
they sign
twice.
Rodgers, it moves the other way and you get more points.
No, that's true. But if it stays the way it is, the Giants end up being 3 or 4 point favorites before that game starts.
Well, that would be a huge swing in Vegas money. Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, from now till then, I mean, because that's where the money comes. You're going to have, especially New York bettors, if the Giants look good in preseason, anything like that, it's going to swing big time.
And honestly, Vegas doesn't know right now. If it's not Rodgers, we don't know if it's Bridgewater or Locke as
I'm
the
actually
quarterback.
surprised it started on that side. I really am.
Next game, and this will be Kevin first, correct? Yes. Big matchup here. Potential AFC Championship game in my mind. Cleveland traveling to Kansas City in Week 1.
Wow.
Yeah, and Kansas City did bolster their line. They traded for Orlando Brown. They gave up that first-round pick this year. Odell should be back for this game, and I guess my question is that good or bad for Baker Mayfield? Because after he went out last year, Baker and the team in general turned that around a lot. This is, I tell you, these games in Week
Cleveland,
1.
I'm sorry, in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I got to go Kansas City 7.5.
Sorry, where was the game?
Cleveland going to Kansas City.
Okay.
It's going to be I think it's a 4:25 game.
Okay. So, I think this is easily 7 or 8 if it was the opposite. But wait, Cleveland's in Kansas City. You said. So I think it is going to be 7 or 8. I'm going to go -8, Kansas City.
It's actually only 5.5, so I guess Vegas is giving
Wow,
Cleveland a
okay.
little credit. So Kevin gets that one though
Hey, finally.
by half a
something.
point there.
Finally,
have-
I win the Price is Right.
We have 2 games left. I don't think Kevin can catch you, but you can make it close, Kevin.
I want to recount because I think you're off.
You can make it close. So this is the Sunday night game, and this year there's only one Monday night game. As in years
okay.
past,
I like
they've had
that.
2.
That's
So this
good.
is there's 2 games left. This
You're going to
is
stay up too late when
Right.
This is a Sunday night game, and I talked to my brother about this one because it's the Bears traveling to the Rams, and he's a little nervous about putting Fields on the field against Donald. He doesn't know how he would deal with that pressure, and the Rams defense was pretty good, and they did pressure the quarterback a lot. So he may want to start Dalton in this first game. So it's Bears traveling to the Rams Sunday night.
So definitely going to say Rams. I'm going to say -4.
-4.
You said Rams -4. Okay.
Does that mean Chicago's?
I'm going to
favorite? Wait, you
say
said
I'm going to say
minus-
Rams -5.
It's actually Rams -7.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got another
So
one.
Kev's catching.
So I think Kevin actually this is going to end up pretty close. And that must mean
What is
that
there one left? I better take this last.
This must mean Vegas is potentially thinking Fields is going to be on the field. Stafford's first game at home as a Ram, so they're taking that all into account. Last game Monday night, Baltimore traveling to the Raiders of Vegas. And
Baltimore
Kevin goes.
traveling to Vegas. All right, I'm going to say Baltimore -5.5.
I'm going to say Baltimore, but less than that. We're going to say like -3.5.
Kevin didn't leave you much room to work with there. It was -6, so Kevin takes it. And
Nice.
I said halfway through, don't call it a comeback, and I think I'll have to total them up now. Let's see here. John started off hot with that 4-0 start, kind of like he thought the Giants were going to do, and they went into a little tailspin. So John, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that 8 and 8? How many?
There's only 16 games, right?
You went 8 and 8. You guys tied first.
We're tied.
week.
All right. Hey, dude, that's a comeback.
That is a
That was a
comeback.
comeback.
Kevin pulled off the last 4 in a
Wow.
row.
Yeah. How you like that?
I got
To
cocky.
pull out the tie.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about,
Gotta have a
boys.
tiebreaker. What's a good tiebreaker?
What
I
is
hate
it? What is
ties.
it? Well, yeah. What is a good tiebreaker?
Good tiebreaker?
It's hard to tie. It's hard to do it without an actual game being played for 4 months.
Yeah.
Here, let's just do one other random one. Let's just pick like
We can circle back to it.
Give us a random over under for the total
Oh,
wins
there
for
you
a
go.
year.
Yeah, there you
for
go.
some
Oh,
teams.
Kevin looked at him, but he
No, I didn't say.
okay. You looked at the NFC East.
I just had a Frog Alley triple IPA or
Oh
triple.
boy, we better start ending this podcast soon.
Skull Frog triple IPA ×3.
Pick us
Shout out to everybody over there and JT Pollard. So I can't see anything right now.
Pick us like
We better end
a
soon.
West Coast team, and then look up the over under for the wins for the year.
All right. Well, we just talked about them. Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
For what?
Over or under for the wins for the year.
For the wins?
Yeah. And Kevin went first on the last one. So John, you go first.
Okay. We're not even looking at the schedule, obviously. So this is totally.
Remember, and it's also out of 17 as we've talked about.
Right. I'm going to say they're going to have an under 500 record. I'm going to say 7.5.
I'm going to say 8.
7. John takes.
Yeah.
You just went the you just went the wrong way, and I probably should have picked it.
No, I was listen. I was thinking 8 the whole time. I'm like, don't pick 8. Don't pick 8.
So John takes down the first week of gambling on the lines. I like that, guys. That was good. You guys, Kevin pulled back towards the end there. That was fun.
That, you know what? And here's the best thing: we're both really close on a lot of them, and it's fun when you get into the season. It was my favorite thing to do. It's like, and what I would bet, I would kind of look at things. I love to look at the lines and to pick my pick of the week. So I'll share my pick of the week with everybody because something always jumps out at me. Now, I don't normally bet a lot because I'll start, when I have money in my pocket, I start betting on stuff that's not my pick of the week, it's stuff, whatever. So I usually stick to fantasy football. I do love the pick 'em pool, stuff like that, but I do love giving like one game a week. And I'm probably going to put a little bit of money aside and start betting that one game a week that I like. But I will share that with everybody. We're going to do our podcast early in the week with the early lines. We're going to pick the games every week and have fun with this whole thing. We're going to do.
I won't let Kevin back in the match.
Yes.
Most of the week.
No, I'm not far out, so I didn't get my ass kicked. I started off pretty bad, but I think I
that's what you're saying. He's not going to in the future. He's never going to let you back in that close.
That's
again.
fine. But
so here's one, just because of the exercise we just did, real quick. Let's just what happened? Why does Vegas have the line on that Buffalo game as high as they do? Do they not like Pittsburgh, or do they just really love Buffalo?
I think it's a combination. I think Buffalo's at home. I think they saw how Buffalo played Kansas City last year, and I don't think people have I think a lot of people think Big Ben's shot.
No, and also like Pittsburgh fell apart last year, and he's fallen apart. They just drafted a running back. They had a terrible draft. I mean, he drafted a running back in the first round. You know how I feel about that.
He's a good running back, but they had other needs, and
they had a lot more needs, right? And it's a team that's after Le'Veon Bell, and after Antonio Brown, and that team, people don't want to play there. It seems like one of those, similar to the Giants, where the Giants started going down a path where they lost their respect, and those two franchises were franchises that people always respected, and there was never, just classy organizations. I mean, Sixburg. I mean, that's a place where you go to win championships, and guys like Le'Veon Bell holding out, and Antonio Brown. Sure thing, Hall of Famer, going down all of a sudden he has issues with them and leaves, and all of a sudden it's not a great place to play anymore. And I think it's left a sour taste in people's mouths. And now Buffalo's on the up and up. And holy cow, we're going to talk about the most annoying fan bases in football. And holy crap, Buffalo's right up there now, man. I'll tell you.
You don't like the tables? Come on.
Listen, I love the tables. I loved it when they were losing, but now that they're winning. Holy
There's
shit.
some additional fans out there now for Buffalo. That's for sure.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll have to see if we're closer to the correct outcome or if the lines are. But I just don't see. I think Pittsburgh still has a good team.
If it goes under 7, I would bet Buffalo. I think Buffalo beats them by a touchdown at home.
I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. I mean it's fun. I'm happy for Buffalo. I really am happy for Buffalo. But I know some fans, and they're on the borderline of. Like, I'm going to just walk away and walk over there, okay? You guys can go back to watching your championship video.
So what's worse, Buffalo fans or New England?
Oh, we got to talk about that. The worst fan base, and that's another episode.
Or is that just Giant fan talking?
Another conversation for another
conversation, right? So before we get to future episodes, we're going to be talking about the worst or most annoying fan bases in the NFL, okay? To us and to whatever. We are going to get into, I think our next episode is going to be about quarterbacks. We're going to give our Mount Rushmore of NFL quarterbacks and argue a little bit on who should be up there. And we're also going to talk about Eli Manning and whether he should be a Hall of Famer.
And just to clarify, Kevin's statement is at all a Hall of Famer, not first ballot. So I think that's the big. That's the big.
Should
thing to
he
think
be a
of.
Hall of Famer? Not is he or will he be a Hall of
So
Famer?
all your Giant
Okay?
fans out there, we know there's
Right.
the opinions, but
Listen,
Kevin definitely has a very strong opinion.
I have a very strong opinion that Eli, as great as he has been for our franchise, should not be in the Hall of Fame. So
You just spoiled the next podcast.
no, that's fine. I mean, I'm opening it up to you guys to debate against me. We're gonna have a. Great
I don't know
debate
John's
about this,
opinion, so
right?
that's good.
Well, if you guys can talk and who you guys can get together and put your input together. One can moderate, one can debate, and we can talk about this whole thing. But we're gonna put together our best 4 quarterbacks and even talk about a fifth who's on the cusp of that great 4 quarterbacks on that Mount Rushmore. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the most annoying.
Well, we're also
fan
getting close to that June 1st cut date, and
Yes.
I think that it really could be something that affects the Giants with the offensive line, outside of potentially an Aaron Rodgers. So I think that's something that during one of the next ones
Right.
we'll be updating. And then after that, I mean, we're not that far away from getting to mini camps, and
Yeah, absolutely.
all of a sudden it goes fast.
Right.
So it'll be fun.
We're gonna mix in some like debate type podcasts. We're gonna just throw in some fun. Basically, this is just an excuse for us to get together, have a couple of beers, and talk football. So even in the playoffs, stuff like that. God forbid the Giants don't make it. We're still going to do our podcast, drink beers, and talk football, and talk about what's going on in the league. So lots of good stuff. I was so excited this week. So guys, I appreciate you.
Thanks for hosting us in your basement again.
Yeah, I know my mom's basement is pretty sweet. You guys watch us on YouTube. You be quiet. Just make sure we got to get out of here before she goes to sleep because she takes those hearing aids out.
She bringing down that
right.
meatloaf or no?
Ma,
meatloaf.
Ma, we want it now. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks. Cheers, and we will see you next week.
Cheers.
All right.
Go Giants,
Later, guys.